Hello, we are recording this and there's like an active thunderstorm going on outside. So if this happens to collapse, if you hear any lightning, that's in my background because there's an active storm going on. But I wanted to start out with my story. If you're just coming across this, you probably have no idea who I am. So, what a better place to start than just start from the beginning, where the seeds were planting to who I am now. I am an integrative health coach, and it is not something that I studied from my institutionalized universities. It's not something that I had known I was going to do my whole life. So I think we should just start back in the beginning of where did I start? So I came from a middle class family in what you would call like out in the middle of nowhere. It was a village. There was no traffic lights. We had one gas station, and then I think it was 2008, when the gas prices got too high, our old pumps at the gas station couldn't actually go up to that number anymore of the price per gallon. And so literally the gas station shut down. Like, we didn't have a gas station in our little village anymore. Very small community, very small village. And that's the place where I grew up. I had lots of places to roam. My parents had horses. I was very much involved in horses and extracurriculars like 4-H and all the different projects within that. Like, I remember doing bicycling clubs. Like, we had one of the projects in 4-H was bicycling, but I also showed rabbits, I showed horses, and yeah, we did so much growing up in terms of experiences, and I'm super, super grateful for having those experiences. And something my family did every single year was we went on vacations, and so I had out west trips and all those experiences, which I'm just, yeah, again, so grateful for. I'm the youngest of three, and I have two older sisters. So the family dynamic was basically all the girls to just my dad. And we weren't overly religious. We did go to church. We weren't going to church all the time. And it eventually got to a point as I got older where we were just going to church for Christmas, or maybe like once or twice a year. It was a Methodist church. So there was spirituality in my life, but I remember so early in my life just doing a lot of questioning. And I think for most of my life, I've always questioned things, and I've just always been really curious, a very curious mind, to know why something is the way it is. Or with as big as religion was in my area growing up, I almost felt if I didn't say that I was a Christian, then I was something of a sinner, and I was just not accepted, and I was just looked bad upon. So I feel like I really grew up being like, okay, I'm learning about this stuff. I'm going to vacation Bible school. I'm going to church. And we went to church a lot more often when I was younger, but I just remember questioning some of those stories in particular. I remember just being like, okay, who do I pray to? If the Trinity applies and God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are all of the same, why do sometimes people refer to that as God, or some people refer to that as Jesus? Like, why are we picking to choose to pray to Jesus when like it's all the same? I just couldn't understand. Laying in bed at night, I'd be like, okay, who do I pray to? I guess I'll just pray to Jesus. So that brought up a lot of like questions for me too. So who do I pray to? And so I just remember so young just being really curious about it all, and just, okay, how's that story? And is this the same world that I'm living in? Because how did that happen? So I grew up very much in sports, very much a dipping my toes into a lot of different things because my parents really allowed that. Our parents really pushed us into, if you want to do this sport, like, here, try this sport and try it out, and just got us so many different exposures to different things. So I was doing lots of sports growing up: soccer, t-ball. I remember being on the all-star team with boys and girls, and I was picked as the all-star to go to the all-star game. I found out at a very young age that I was good at sports. I found out at a very young age that was something for me. I got validation at a very young age that people pay a little bit more attention to sports. It was very interesting. And I also found that's where I fit, and that's where I got attention, and that's where I got praise, and that's where I got validation, and stood out amongst older sisters or what have you, or even just other girls around me. And I really think that's where the competition in me started at such a young age was like, oh, I want to be the best. And that desire to be the best was very helpful in some cases. But as I got older, I can see where I took something too far. I can see where that was very helpful, but also isn't always helpful for every day of living my life, looking for competition all around me. So there was a big event in my life that happened in 2008. In 2008, I was a sophomore in high school, and there was a car accident that I was involved in, and I was life-flighted because the car T-boned my side. My sister was driving, and I was unconscious for a lot of it. I remember the still image of the car, the grill of the car, literally just like being frozen in time right here. It's almost like time slowed down. And I just have this etched memory in my brain of the car grill right here, and I felt no pain. Like, I felt no pain. I wasn't conscious for the car accident. I wasn't awake to know what something felt like. And eventually I was in and out of consciousness as time went on, but I didn't know it at the time what was kind of happening. Time froze, I blacked out. I don't remember, I didn't feel or experience anything until I came fully back online. And later I found out that was my body protecting me. My body protected me from the impact that I was going to experience. My body protected me from pain. My body protected me from experiencing pain. And oh my goodness, if I could share that message with so many people, that your body is always looking out for you, and it's always looking to protect you, and it's always looking to just do the best for you despite anything that could be very bad going on. That's a life or death situation, right? My body just assumed that was a life or death situation, and it went offline to protect me from experiencing that pain that would be really hard. And I ended up having this car accident, right? And I was life flighted to the bigger city, and when I got there, I just remember them cutting my tank top and the 2 sports bras I was wearing, even though I had nothing, but that was my self-consciousness that I just wanted to wear 2 sports bras like the other girls and make it look like I had something. But I remember that was my first thought when I was coming back online to consciousness was, oh my gosh, they're gonna know that I don't have boobs. Like, I'm wearing 2 sports bras and they cut it open and it's, okay, this girl actually doesn't have boobs. So you can tell what was a big insecurity for me at that time of my life. I very much removed myself from that, so I'm very grateful. But I came online and I was told what happened because I didn't really understand what happened. I remember seeing myself even when I was unconscious. In my perspective, I thought, okay, something happened here, and I'm hearing my sister talk over me. And I remember this visual that I was seeing when I was unconscious. I remember this visual. It was almost like I didn't know exactly what happened, right? I just saw the grill here, and that's where everything stopped for me. But I remember seeing myself above my body, and I remember seeing myself just laying there, and in my mind, I thought my body was laying on the side of the road. I didn't know where at or the specifics of what it looked like. I just knew I was on the side of a road, and I just had this sense of people were around me. But I do remember when I was in and out of consciousness, I do remember asking my sister one time, what happened? Like, it was almost like my subconscious and my consciousness were trying to figure out what happened, and even though it might know, it was trying to register things together for me. Come to find out, my sister said that I asked that question a lot of times and she was getting annoyed, but I remember one time asking her, and I remember hearing her say, as she's crying, we got into a car accident, Caddy. And that was it. And I felt nothing at the time. It was just, I'm just accruing information. It was like, oh, okay, huh. And again, I couldn't feel anything. And I didn't actually even know if my eyes were open. I was just, what I can visually see right now, what's burned in my memory, is just looking above my body and just seeing my body laying there. And so fast forward from that car accident, I ended up getting a laceration in my kidney from my seatbelt. Thank goodness I was wearing my seatbelt. But because of the, what do you want to call it? Like the whiplash, the force of the impact, the seatbelt obviously caught me. So thank goodness, because I probably would have been dead if I wasn't wearing one, because I just would have smashed into the dashboard. But it did cut my kidney. So I remember I didn't start bleeding until a week later, and that's when we found out that I cut my kidney. But at the time, I had severe whiplash. I was in a neck brace because my neck was just so sore. Everything just so tense, and it felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. Even gravity was too much weight for my neck and my shoulders. It just, like, sitting upright would be exhausting. and I would just have to lay down. And so I was out of volleyball. It was right before we started the volleyball season. I just finished tryouts. And so I just finished tryouts and made the team, and I really didn't get to play. I was out of volleyball for 2 months, I think. So that was like maybe half or maybe more than half of the volleyball season. And this happened right before school started. And I remember this conversation so clearly with my mom is I had heard that had the incident happened even just ever so slightly differently, if time was just a little bit different, the impact was placed just ever so slightly inches different than where it was, I probably wouldn't be here right now. Even just not wearing a seatbelt, or maybe even having the window down. We had the window down so there was no glass that came in from my door. And I just remember like getting all this information from people, and I remember sitting down as I was going through my agenda book. I don't know if you guys all did that, or if they still even have agenda books today. I don't know, but I was going through the start of the new year. You want to start, okay, we have the rubric due. I don't even know, the first intro, blah, 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 blah. And I remember sitting in the kitchen and talking with my mom, and I was like, what's so special about me that I lived in this? And I had known of other people that went to my school, or just incidents of people around me where they got into a car accident and they didn't survive. I remember just asking my mom, like, why am I alive? Is this really God? Is there really God? And like, why did God protect me, but he wasn't able to protect other people? And so I just remember like really leaning into God at this point and being like, if he saved me, what did he preserve me and save me for? And I could get goosebumps right now just thinking about this. And I still didn't know it at the time, but I was like, okay, there's something special for me here. If my life was preserved, there's something special for me here. And I really just need to follow my heart. I really need to follow my light. And so that was a big moment in my life that changed a lot of things for me, of just understanding that like things can disappear just like that. Like my life flipped very quickly. Like I remember being like, oh my gosh, I just didn't really understand that car accidents could happen to me. I think sometimes we live in a world where if we haven't experienced some of these things, which I don't like want to wish on anybody, right? But sometimes if we don't experience these things, we have a hard time like living in this world as if I'm special, or as if, oh, that won't happen to me. You see it in the news, you see it in movies, and it's just like hard to, oh, like that could happen to me. This is actually a real thing until you're in it. And it's so crazy how life can change in a matter of seconds and a matter of decisions. And so at a very young age, I was exploring, diving into, and getting curious again. I just really want to keep relaying that I'm a very curious mind, a very question mind. I want to ask more questions. And so I was getting curious about this, getting curious about spirituality or even religion. And so that was one part of my journey, was this car accident that really did open my eyes to things that I don't think I would have seen before had something not happened to me. I ended up running track in high school, and I was your kind of average. I was from a country school area, so we had a big district of who we would compete with, and I was what you would say like maybe your average person. I wasn't always top 3. I was sometimes like in the middle of competing, but for my very small local area, like I was pretty good. And I remember I didn't really know what college was going to be like for me. I was a C average student probably until my junior or senior year of high school, where I started to take some courses that really did interest me. It was history, it was sociology, it was psychology. So history, not so much, but like sociology and psychology really just opened my eyes. I was just blown away by science in that realm, of studying the human body in that realm, unlike anything ever before. So I actually started to become a better student when I was starting to study things and learn things that were just so interesting to me. And so there's my first glimpse, as well as psychology being that first course that I ever came across in high school that I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is so interesting. I'm fascinated by this, right? Fascinated. And I already had this physical component to me too, right? I'm so into the physical body. I love pushing my body. I love experimenting with my body. I love seeing how my body can move in different ways and to challenge it and to support it as best as I knew at the time, right? I was a very active girl, and I was very engaged in working my body and trying to be the best athlete, but also like, I don't know if everybody else was like this in high school, but Obviously, drinking alcohol gets brought up in high school, and that was just something I knew in my core in high school. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this to fit in, but like, I don't really like it. And this is great because now I'm in a sport where I can say and really have that boundary for myself, as I'm not really going to participate in drinking because I'm trying to be a better athlete. Like, drinking is going to ruin my abilities, or drinking is going to suppress my abilities or slow me down or just get in the way. So at a very young age, I was already thinking about these things, and just like, I want to support my body best. I want it to be able to do its best and perform its best. Although it was related to sports at the time, those thoughts, those beliefs still carry within me and are essential belief and component to myself of how can I support my body, my physical body, to be its most optimal. And then now we throw in the parts of my life of, I have this like spiritual event in my life where I really sit with God and like really try to understand God and see God and what my purpose is, a very big spiritual self-development. And I also have this desire to learn and to really implement. I was so interested in the mind, the psychology, right? So I'm building up my base of, I have this physical realm of physical exercise and health. And now I have this mental body. And then I have this spiritual body where I'm opening up into my spirituality. I'm opening up to what's my purpose, who I am, what am I here to do, and how can I better myself as a whole. In high school, going back to my track career, wasn't super impressive, right? Wasn't super impressive, but I was somebody that worked hard and I cared and I kept showing up. And I remember being at this camp that was offered at my high school, and it was with some college recruits, and they were holding a camp for hurdlers. That's what it was. And one of the coaches, we had just finished the camp, and I remember him jogging with me, or maybe walking with me, I don't know the specifics, after, and he was like, I really think you should do this college thing. Like, we would love to have you at Heidelberg. And Heidelberg University is a D3 school, if nobody knows, in Ohio. And I remember him telling me that, and butterflies, like I could just like, oh, butterflies, somebody sees this potential in me. I can see a good amount for myself, and I have a lot of self-belief that I can do things and I can do hard things. And obviously I had that as my core, but then having somebody else in my life outside of my parents who are supposed to always believe in me, right? I had somebody else that doesn't really know me too well, but they have a belief in me as well. And they said that you can do this thing. We think you'd be good at it. We think you'd just continue to grow here. We think that you would be able to do this thing. And me at the time, I remember, I don't know what college, like I don't even know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I couldn't specifically name this one thing that I wanted to do. I couldn't, in high school and even the first 2 years of college, I couldn't decide a major. I knew what things I was interested in, right? But it was, how can I sit here as this very young, this 17, 18, 19-year-old girl and say, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and it's going to look exactly like this. I have a very curious mind. It was hard for me to sit there and decide on something that I felt I didn't have enough life. Like I didn't have enough life to be able to say, yeah, I want to do that for the rest of my life, and I want to go to school for this. I don't know. Sometimes I have to experience things in order to be like, this is the way for me. I had this coach that believed in me, and that was it. I had a college coach that believed in me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I ended up going to Heidelberg University as a track athlete. I did try to go there for volleyball too. That's a different story. Looking back, I'm so thankful that I just went there for track, because track ended up being basically practices starting the second week of school, which weren't mandatory because we weren't technically in season and you weren't really supposed to have a coach there, but we still had practices that you were very much encouraged to be there, because if you weren't and you weren't in a sport, you were going to show up to indoor track season and just be, you were delayed, you were behind, you were already behind if you weren't starting earlier. So track ended up being almost a full year thing because practices started so early and we had indoor and outdoor seasons. So looking back, there would have been no way volleyball would have fit. I would have just been very overbooked to be able to try to do both. And again, it was like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? I still, second year in college, like still trying to figure that out. I finally decided by the second year of college, I took some time off. I think I took a season off of indoor track, and I was working instead, making some of my own money. And I sat with an academic counselor, and she really helped me. What do you like to do? In your free time, what do you like to do? And I was like, I like working out. I was big about fitness and working out and running and just always moving my body, exploring movement in so many different ways. I loved that. And so we put the pieces together, and it was, okay, you have a passion for the human body. You have a passion for the human body. So here's a list of things that you can do involving the human body. And so that is my foundation. I ended up graduating with a bachelor's of health science. And man, oh man, once I declared my major and my courses and classes started to be just catered to physiology, anatomy, applied kinesiology. I was taking some beginner level courses for athletic trainers and getting ready for grad school courses for doctorates of physical therapy, doctorates of chiropractic. The health science realm just really opened up to a lot of things in the health space. And so again, I still wasn't really sure where do I go with this, but I know I'm invested in these classes. I actually became a Dean's List student, and that was never something for me in high school. So it really did happen for me that once I got into something that I really cared about and that was really just piquing interest in me and driving more and more curiosity and fascination, I was deep in this stuff. I was going, and I was top of my class by doing that, from somebody, again, who in high school was just this C average student, wasn't really interested in much studies, was really looked at, you're not very smart, which, whatever. So college was a totally stepping into, wow, there are some things untapped for me. Wow, I have potential that I never knew that was possible for me. And now I have a glimpse of it, that I can be anybody that I want, as long as I follow with where my heart is throbbing towards, as long as I follow with what I'm passionate about, as long as I follow towards where my calling is, what things are resonating with me. There was limitless. And I also say that in respect to not just how my academics and my scholar just exploded from college, and I could change into this completely version of myself that I wanted to be at a younger age, but just didn't know that was who I could be. And the other side of me, this athlete, I always wanted to be the top dog, right? When you're an athlete and you're competitive, that's something you want to be your best. And you also look at your peers of, okay, who is a version of me that I would like to step into? And so I finally became that version. I ended up setting a school record that is still standing today at Heidelberg University for indoor 60-meter hurdles. And that moment was another big moment in my life that changed my world. Just reaffirmed this belief and just honestly really put everything together for spiritual, emotional, just so many things wrapped up in that experience of itself. But I remember breaking that school record, and I just remember thinking, I think God just wanted to give me this. God wanted to give me this and say, hey, here's this for just never giving up. Here's this for how much you just kept showing up. Here's this for all your hard work. And that was an amazing moment in my life, that one of the top ones in there that just opened this potential for me of, holy shit, I really can become anybody that I desire to be. If I really put intentions, if I really put focus, if I stay consistent and I stay the course and I follow my heart with where my soul gets set on fire, the world is going to open up for me. The world is going to open up for me. Now, there's a caveat to this. This also had a lesson with it of, okay, you have to try hard and exhaust yourself and keep doing and dragging and going in order to reach success. So there's some lessons in my life that you could look at it in different lens of, aha, I see where this has shown up in other areas of my life. But from that experience alone that changed things for me, it opened the door of possibilities. And I think those things in my life that I've experienced have really opened the door to who I am now. I am an entrepreneur. I had no startup fund. Nobody helped me start this. I started my own health coaching practice back in 2020, and it was a full-fledged of, I know something is greater for me. I know there's something here for me that I have to keep following and keep doing, because something is setting my soul on fire, and this isn't it. And after college, I ended up going into physical therapy assistant school, and I ended up getting my license to practice as a physical therapist assistant. But as much as I thought that's what I wanted to do, I understood that this work was missing some things. It was missing some gaps. I felt very redundant. I felt like our entire treatments were very programmed. I felt like you had to follow scripts. I felt like you couldn't really see the whole person. You were so dictated by insurance, and you were so limited. It was just like, why are we We're missing the gaps here. And I started to meet people here in Columbus, Ohio, that were thinking outside of the box for physical therapy, that were thinking outside the box for healing and rehabilitation and turning your body back online and getting the systems all in flow again. And they weren't doing it the standard way that I was taught by the books and the program and my program that I was licensed in. So I really started to see that there's a lot more out there than just what we are given in books and in programs and institutionalized settings. And there's a lot of information out there that if you close off to it, you're missing out a lot on how you can weave things together. Like, here's this aspect and here's this aspect, and you get to weave them together to have a more profound experience for people, the people that you're working with, and you do better work by integrating the whole person. All of my life has led me up to this moment. I feel where I'm at right now as an integrative health coach who really is taking a multi-dimensional lens in the work that I'm doing with women. I work with health conscious, holistic minded women who are seeking whole self-healing in an alternative and integrative lens, meaning this isn't just the here's a pill or here's a supplement and this is all your healing involves, which also means that I respect and honor the space where conventional medicine or allopathic medicine is, but I weave in an integrative lens of elevating the internal frequency and terrain of the woman in my space, and for them to have this work expand beyond just them and into the collective. So I'm helping women with gut and I say mystery health issues because I feel when I put my emphasis on gut, there's really a whole lot more going on. And a lot of people are experiencing issues that they really don't have. It's a mystery. It's like, I'm having all these symptoms, here's all this stuff. And really focusing my work at the gut and expanding from there is what my passion is. And it's to raise people's frequency by co-creating a healing space with them and integrating, again, their whole self. So their emotional, their physical, their spiritual, their mental, all these bodies that we are, all that make us up who we are, really integrating it all, holding this space for them all, and co-creating. And when I say co-creating, it means I'm not coming from a perspective of, here, do this because I said to do this. I'm coming from a, hey, what do you think would be best? How can I present something to see if that is for them? And they can check in with their intuition and be like, yeah, that aligns with me. This makes sense. Or also create the things together. Ask them what they're feeling. Ask them what they feel is missing. Ask them where they think that they should go next. Really using transformational coaching to be a mirror, essentially, to my clients. So they lead their own journey. Like, I'm here as a guide. I'm not their expert. I'm not their guru. I am a guide for them on their healing journey with my work and what I mirror back to them so that they can see and they find their solutions and their own pathway, and we blend it together for that co-creative space and co-creative healing. So they can also become their own best self-healer too. A lot of us in this health space, a lot of us have our own journeys of where we came from. And in this episode, I haven't even talked about my own health journey that actually catapulted me into this work from where I was at, just basically health and fitness coaching and personal training. Like, it catapulted me here. And so I have a lot more to share on my story. So in the next few episodes, I'm going to be sharing with you my health journey that really opened things up for me, that stepped me into this space for doing the work that I'm doing right now, the integrative, holistic health type of coaching and a root cause approach, because my journey, I know you guys will resonate with that one. So I'm excited for you guys to get into that episode so we can talk a little bit more about this. You can see yourself in my journey as well. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to continue on this journey, you want to continue to be in this space, I would love if you would like, share, or even give a comment if you would like. Your input, what you share, and the attention that you bring to this does really trickle throughout just me, but you sharing this might drop into somebody's lap who really needed to hear this, really need to see this podcast. I appreciate all, and thank you so much. I will see you guys on the next episode.